Spoiler warning! I will ask you please not watch the second half of my review of Crystal Wish Classroom Dungeon until you have beaten the game for yourself, as the emotional impact it can deliver onto its player is not one that can be had by merely being told about it, because Classroom Dungeon is an adventure, not something philosophical where you get the experience just by thinking about it. Really, you can think of this video as more like a recap of the story of an anime. Though, if I think that is the case, then why am I making a video where I do just that? Because CWCD needs more content, as in any content, because right now there's literally only 5 gameplay videos of it on YouTube, and keep in mind if XRY's games become successful enough, he hopes he can remake CD one day, which I fully believe can become a very good JRPG. And because, maybe I just have a soft spot for tragic characters, but I think Mughara may be my spiritual waifu, which is also a strange thing for me to think about when everything about this character and the games she's from are the product of the mind of a random Italian dude whom I've already talked to a lot who told me, and I quote,
"Taken as purely a serious JRPG, Crystal Wish, Classroom Dungeon is just a small fun story and game meant to give as much fun and challenge as I could possible provide with my cute girls and game design choices."
So with that being said, I would now like to explore CWCD's star character. Remember how I said Mughara behaves like a normal person? That is also intentionally part of her character. See, in being a game genie, her pride and joy is her ability to fill that role properly. She expresses how important it is to her that she makes her challenges fun and fair, that she is honest and sticks to playing by the rules without cheating, and that if she loses and has to grant another's wish, she does her best to fulfill their one wish as they intended. So despite being a reality-bending magical entity, Mughara is still written to be very human. Like after she brings the girls back outside of the magic game once they beat the trial dungeon, she is impressed with their skills, but as they keep referring to her as Genie, she gets annoyed saying, "I already told you my name is Mughara, please use it. We're all friends here playing together after all, we should call each other by name." She gets annoyed, surprised, flustered, sad, lonely. In fact, that's the main plot point of her character. All she wants is to entertain. She's a magical girl who lives to play and can manifest any idea for a game. However, and this is something a movie about a young man who went to live in the wilderness on his own taught me, happiness is only real when shared. Before the girls decide to officially join the magic game, Rosalind inquires if all Mughara ever wanted was some friends to play with, and Mughara begrudgingly confirms this, saying, with it being centuries since she was last summoned, she got so disappointed and frustrated at Serena's sister for losing this super interesting challenge in just a few short minutes that she lost control of her temper and wished that Quilla and her friends will remain trapped with her in her genie crystal. This is also why Mughara withheld a vital piece of information from the girls at the start of the trial dungeon. That being, since she cannot change the rules of the magic game as it is outside the bounds of her magic, this means Serena, Rosalind, and Meg will also be subject to the same wish she made should they lose, and they too will have their souls trapped in the crystal. She did not tell them this up front because she feared if they had known this, then they would have not risked themselves to challenge her, and as Mughara is explaining herself, she shows remorse for what she did. She feels bad when she does something she thinks is wrong to others. So to demonstrate she is acting in good faith to her would-be new players, Best Girl asks again if they are sure they still want to officially be added to the magic game. And curiously, from the player's perspective, you begin to be shown that CWCD's narrative is not only well thought out in its internal consistency, but that XRY also has a solid grasp on the fundamentals of what can be done to communicate meaning to the player through the medium of the gameplay experience, which is what makes this form of media so wholly unique and special among all other art forms ever made. It can be seen that there is an event circle at the classroom door to leave the room. A literal mechanic has been given to the player to decline the Game Genie's offer. It's something so simple yet so effective. It shows the player that they are not merely a bystander watching an already pre-concluded story cutscene that they have no agency over and thus no choices for you to make to become engaged with. In being given a choice, you then begin to think of the implications of your possibilities, and being able to think about this is what gives meaning to your actions. With this added ability to literally walk away from the magic game, Mughara's question to the player becomes way more personal now, because you've gotten a taste of what is going on. You don't know anything about Quilla and her friends, but you have gotten to know Serena and her friends over the past hour of gameplay. Are you sure you really want to risk the lives of 3 more people for the mistakes of a few kids? See what I mean? We haven't even gotten into the depths of the plot yet, and I've already gotten so heavy-handed in my elaboration of it. It just makes me think so much. It's just like Cave Story's bad ending where Kazuma asks the player if they want to use the dragon hatchling to flee the floating island. Only it's done better in CWCD, as it's clearer to the player what is at stake in their decision, and would be equally in character for these girls to realize this is something they should walk away from, because you are playing as ordinary people, not an amnesiac robot soldier silent protagonist who is to be an avatar for the player's singular will to be duty-bound to always progress to the end of the game, because if they don't, the world will be doomed. Some in Discord server think I take game too seriously. Maybe. Maybe. I've yet to meet one that can outsmart Bullet. I mean, doing so has elevated my enjoyment of CD above everyone else's, so then again, maybe not. Should you possess the resolve to continue, Mughara will be happy at the renewed chance for her to have fun. After bringing your girls back into their miniature character roles, she exclaims how excited she is to see them tackle the coming dungeons. This prompts Rosalind to ask Mugi if she is worried that them winning the game will ruin her plans, but she cheers still with her big dumb smile, worried about that. The closer you get to victory, the more we will play, and that's the only plan I care about. Which makes it become apparent that she does not actually have a vested interest in keeping her captives from her victory wish. And what a relief to the player and the girls this is to find out, for now we have a full understanding of the relations between our protagonists and antagonist. Because if Mughara was vindictive, then when Serena demanded to take on Quila's challenge to save her, Moggy could have just been like,
"Nah, I don't really feel like it,"
and whisked herself back into her genie crystal to have fun with her new permanent roommates. And if Mughara was evil, then in order to make sure she wins versus her new players so she can keep her victory wish, she could just simply defeat them herself from the start after shrinking them for the magic game. But that's not the kind of person we're dealing with, so you don't have to worry about Mughara playing dirty to try and stop you for those reasons. That's not who she is. Like I said in my first half of this review, I can really appreciate a character who so strongly enjoys adhering to the spirit of fair play. So even though she is a magical being who already stole your sibling and is acting as your antagonist in being the dungeon master of your literal shrunken self right now, you can rest easy in knowing that there is no ill will at play here. That even though there is an ever-present existential threat of magical imprisonment, the obstacles to overcome this threat will be presented to you in a manner similar to the hero's journey, where you will be given a series of tasks that will start from manageable that will gradually increase in difficulty, again to ensure it is not impossible for you to win. Thus you venture forth, and progress in the RPG, and can continue to banter with your giantess overlord, which was inspired by the Hyperdimension Neptunia series to have lots of self-referential video game humor that maybe I'm just a sucker for, but I enjoyed the writing so much that I swear every few lines are golden, which furthers the likability of all the characters. When you get to the water dungeon, for example, Rosalind is apparently familiar with this setting, and she becomes very worried and warns the girls how water temples are famous in RPGs for killing many adventurers, which annoys Mughara into rebutting her, saying it won't be that bad, and stop complaining. But hey, at least this shows Mugi has some care for the well-being of her playmates and wanting to keep them from becoming discouraged. The atmosphere between the characters is so casual at times that the player's immersion can even become soothing for this game of pretend. Especially since, in being true to her word, even though Mughara could easily interfere with your girls outside of the bounds of the RPG game whenever she wants, she never tries to harm or do anything to her new playmates. At all times she can be seen in the distance enjoying to merely stand in place watching over you. Her presence can even become a source of comfort to the player. I know I certainly have been taking comfort in replaying Classroom Dungeons music in my head. Because after all, the bosses you have been fighting have turned out to just be ordinary people from the school who Mughara did not shrink, but still magic them into believing they are characters in this RPG whose minds are being influenced by an evil force. They are called the Guardians, but are only the guardians of this pretend fantasy world. Whereas, if you think about it, there still exists another normal-sized person who is not mind-controlled into being an NPC. Someone who has been there with you the whole time. A towering game genie who has been happy to look after your adventure, making sure it goes smoothly. Exactly like a guardian would. So what a shocking turn of events it was, when after finishing another dungeon and being brought back to the hub world, you are suddenly met with another flash of magic light, but this one was not red. The girls turn around to find a new, big, smiling face sitting right where Mughara used to be, and popping out from her red outfit, a green crystal hanging around her neck. A crystal identical to Mughara's. Oh no. And in front of our interloper's massive rack that she's resting on the table, we can see our familiar game genie has now been reduced to our size as she's jumping up and down looking very upset. Not good. What does this mean for a magic game? We better go find out. The new girl introduces herself as Magina, and she is a regular genie. The kind Mughara promptly warns us about, with apparent reason, as Magina is the one responsible for shrinking our dungeon master, who complains her powers also become reduced with her size, making it so she is unable to continue her role. This causes Bazunga Chest over here to become excited as she proclaims, with her deceptively cute smile, that the game we were playing looks fun, so she will take Mugi's place as Game Master Genie. And with the now very little Mugi powerless to stop her, she reluctantly agrees to inform Magina how to play. But first, an emergency group huddle. Best Tiny Girl warns us that despite our complaints about her, you know, like literally shrinking us to the size of chess pawns, she was still playing fair with us because she cares to have a good match. Magina, however, does not, and though she does not have the power to override the magic game to make it impossible for us, that won't prevent her from trying. Uh-oh. Now the reality of how bad our situation is suddenly very apparent, but also very amazing from a game design perspective. Because from out of nowhere, but still in a manner that feels authentic for the player to accept, with the introduction of Magina, the game subverts the relations and comforts the girls have grown accustomed to taking for granted, which leaves the player in the position of being starkly aware of the mortal peril they are in due to their current lack of stature, now being forced to play along with a new giant overlord who is intent on making sure you fail the game and is willing to cheat to do so. And if that alone wasn't making you seriously worried for our heroines, then don't worry, Magina will be sure to have you cowering in fear as soon as you finish preparing for the next dungeon. Because with the next flash of green light, our girls find themselves out of place once again, instantly recognizing they are no longer on the school's desks, but on the floor, with those desks sprawling in the background like city buildings. Surrounded by walls, they're trapped in a maze now! And without any time or warning... Oh no, 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 this is bad! This crazy bitch literally just tried to step on and murder you! Only after a near miss does she exclaim, "Oh, there you are," to the tiny girls with her same cute smile that has lost all appeal now, and inform them that she has hidden the little genie somewhere inside the maze and they simply need to find her, and that of course the big genie will be keeping an eye on your progress. If she can spot you, that is. So now we're trapped with no way out, forced to navigate a maze crawling with enemies, while trying to avoid a giant normal-sized person who is also threatening to step on and crush you outside of the context of the RPG by walking around aimlessly pretending she doesn't see you because you're so small. And what a fantastic set piece of game design this is. Recall what I said in the first half of this review. With everything prior to this, the presentation of the narrative to the player has been a mostly lighthearted anime adventure, like in Cardcaptor Sakura's Little Card episode, where the player could reasonably expect to be able to handle your own fate via the playing of the game. Its theming has been purely for flavoring that allowed ease of development for XRY. It did not have an effect on the mechanics of the game, and the scary existential threat of imprisonment upon failure was a mere background effect to the player, if you remembered it was there at all. But not anymore. Now the girls have been plunged into a scary existential threat of a new mechanic of an environmental hazard that reduces the girls' HP to 1 and will result in real-world death by crushing should you run out of HP. And it was you, the player, who got them into this situation, all because you wanted to risk them to save Serena's sister. This makes the threat feel personal, the fear tangible. My heart was beating abnormally. Strange tingling sensations were filling my body. I had to do my best to get them through this, because I was in a fight to literally save these girls' lives now. Stream clip highlight reel activate! Okay, now this is terrifying. What? What? This isn't fair! What? Oh. What? No, there's enemies too? No! The new genie must just be, like, standing by watching. Oh, I'm so slow! I am so relatively slow. This is terrifying. Wait, does this make me safe? Does this make me safe? No, it didn't make me safe! It didn't make me safe! No! Okay, okay. Yeah, she really cut off the vision well. These are really uneven too. Oh, what the... What the frick? Oh. What? What is happening? What is happening? What just... No! No, I should have left up sooner! Ah! Giant bimbo. I'm safe in the corner, right? What? That wasn't safe at all! Oh, why did her circle come in so far? Hey guys, what's up? Ah! Not again! You stay away. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Lol. Oh, come on! Ow, my face. After surviving the trial of completing the maze while trying not to die from being stepped on by a giant bitch genie bitch, Mughara tells Megina that she owes them a boss fight, which she amusedly scoffs at. She is to fight your tiny girls head on? Or rather, shoe on head? You enter a boss battle versus the giant bitch, Megina. However, to the player's relief, we finally see a path of hope to escape this torture, because it turns out to be the same RPG battle as the previous bosses. Even though Megina is self-aware that the RPG is pretend, the Magic game's governance is forcing her to play by its mechanics now, showing the limitations it is putting on Megina's ability to cheat, so she can't just instantly win here by insta-killing stepping on your girls outside of the game's RPG context again. And with that, the interloper has been defeated, which also weakened her enough so that Mughara could undo the spell that shrunk her and take back control as Dungeon Master. Now returned to her normal, or from your perspective, giant, size, Magi is delighted at your party's accomplishments, praising you as the best player she's ever had. Despite this though, when the girls tried to negotiate with Mughara that she should grow them back to normal size too for what they had to go through to defeat the interloper, not so little Magi denies their request, asserting it is her game and her rules. Also that she prefers them at this size. However, it would be unfair if they did not get any reward for all their work, so she added something new to help them out, again reinforcing her care to play fairly and her disdain for cheating by changing the rules like Megina did. Next to her on the desk, a very upset, shrunken Magi now stands, serving the role of an NPC but without being mind-controlled, so she has to bear the full humiliation of responding to the player with in-character dialogue dictated to her by Best Big Girl towering over her. Though that doesn't stop her from expressing to you how unhappy this makes her. After all, playing an NPC is no fun, let alone a self-aware one. That's just rough. But then again, she did try to brutally murder the girls. Like, a lot. So yeah, you can stay right there on the desk and serve us at our leisure now. A massage from Megina might be worth more than 3 wishes, but it's not worth more than the amount of meat you could cure with all that salt she's exuding right now. Skipping forward, Mugi is surprised that the girls have made it to the end, which she is so pleased to get the chance to play, and again praises them as simply amazing players, giving her the most fun she has ever had. Even Magi has thanks to give to the player now because she's known Mughara for centuries, but has never seen her this happy before. Best Girl gives the girls another fair warning not to think their victory is guaranteed though, because she recognizes her new friends as being worthy of becoming her permanent roommates, so she is now satisfied with how far they have gotten and is ready to do her best to have them lose. The last dungeon awaits our heroines, and it's either win or stay there forever.
You are now entering the Genie's Sanctum.
You managed to make it this far without gaming over, but our heroines are not pretend dungeoning in the safety of the familiar classroom anymore. Now in some pocket dimension, a space large and empty, puttering music ominous and jarring. My heartbeats become more pronounced as I feel the tension. A lone pathway lies ahead, and as one would have anticipated from the very beginning, a now same-sized and in-character Mugi stands to face you. She bellows an evil laugh, announcing to the pesky hero she will make you kneel before her might. This, however, confuses Serena again, asking Mughara why she is acting stranger than usual, prompting the Game Genie to silently laser stare at them with an intensity that could burn through their bodies. Meanwhile, Rosalind is just fawning over the Genie's cute little new outfit, resulting in Mugi reprimanding them with an, "Are you girls serious? Can't you stay in character at least a bit? I'm trying to do something here." Our Dungeon Master proclaims that she is Mughara, the Princess of Toys, who plays with worlds and their balance until they break like useless toys, and she is the final boss of your mission. But then she complains the girls ruin the epic moment, to which Serena returns fire, reiterating that it's hard to play pretend when there's a very real existential threat of her crazy wish kidnapping them all. And... oh dear. I had actually forgotten about this part till I rewatched it for making this review. Serena's remark leaves Magi dejected, in such a manner that I too feel her sadness. For in her greatest wish, where she gets to play the final boss, which she feared no player would ever reach, has had the entire mood of the coolest moment of her Magic game ruined by her new friends. And justly so, because of her selfish wish to kidnap her new friend's sister. So not only is she saddened by the refusal to roleplay with her, at the same time she is also hurt in being reminded this is because of something very wrong she did. Rosalind, trying to find amends to all this, comes up with a proposal. consoling the downtrodden Moggy with, "I know you enjoy playing with us, but there's a better way to do this. If you just let us win this time, then we'll gladly keep playing with you over and over. Aside from the high stakes, I had a ton of fun playing with you." Even Serena instantly agrees to this once she knows her sister will be safe. But again, as much as it likely hurt Mughara even more to be overjoyed at hearing the girls say they would still want to play with her after she lets them win, this is not who we're dealing with. She snaps back, exclaiming to the girls that letting them win would be like cheating in the other direction, and goes against every inch of her existence as a game genie. Our girls realize there will be no talking her out of this, and affirm they are ready to fight Mugi and win the game, and I mentally prepare myself for what I was sure I knew the Princess of Toys had in store for her playmates. What I did not think to mentally prepare myself for, however, was Mugi doing it in literally the same way that the final boss of Donkey Kong on the Game Boy did, which caused me to have another laughing fit I had to share in the Discord. The little genie has entered mega-sized mode, which scares the girls by how colossal she is. Serena pipes up that Mugi can't seriously expect them to fight her like this, right? To which she responds with her larger yet familiar smile, nonchalantly stating, "Of course not, silly. What kind of nonsense is that? You're not even dolls to me anymore, merely specks of dust. And one does not fight dust, you just casually get rid of it, right?" Serena starts to panic, yelling at the Game Genie to hold on, she can't make the game impossible for them, remember? When suddenly... the Guardians flash in, here to help our heroines as they promised for saving them from the evil influence. They magically restrain the toy princess, which leaves Rosalind thinking she owes Mughara an apology for doubting the Game Master Genie, as she has indeed scripted this event to still keep things fair for them. But the situation still merely amuses the princess, arrogantly declaring that she does not even need to move to destroy specs like you, as you enter the final boss fight with her. Which, aw man, sad face. It doesn't even have unique final boss music, and despite her extra thick size, the battle itself is no different from the previous bosses, making it a sound victory for our heroines. Too sound. I didn't buy it for a second. What part of plays with the balance of worlds until it breaks did Serena not get?
I can't believe I lost to this Scum!
Si yo caigo, te arrastraré conmigo.
The girls are blown away, but thankfully get caught on the base platform by the NPCs from the hub world who came to aid our heroes. Sensei informs our heroines that the Princess of Toys is not defeated yet, but breaking the Guardian's magic has used up all of her energy, leaving her knocked out. And to end this, the girls need only deliver a finishing blow to where they have already weakened her before she has time to recover. Meaning you have a surprise final dungeon, to climb all the way back up to the skyscraping princess's face. Even Magina is here, still annoyed. She tells the girls to hurry up and win or lose so she can leave, as she doesn't like being inside another genie's crystal. Wait, what? This comes as a shocking revelation to the girls. Rosalind quibbles that how can they be inside Mughara's crystal when they just saw it still hanging around her neck? Magic, of course. And Maji gleefully mocks them how the walls of red should be all the proof they need. Mugi has them right where she wants them now, leading Serena to realize this is what the Game Genie's ominous warning was about. Oh no, not again! This pretend adventure has once more led our girls into a very real place of danger, this time in the otherworldly clutches of the genie, from which there is no alternative means of escape, as if the stakes didn't feel high, and the music bleak, enough already. Did our Moggy really just trick us into entering her crystal preemptively? Well, no sense mulling over it now. We have already defeated the toy princess in battle, and with her being knocked out, there is no longer a dungeon master our girls can negotiate with. So with being deprived of the assurance of Big Mugi's presence once more, and Serena declaring she is fed up with all this and refused to play any more of her games, it's up to you, the player, to guide your girls to finish this final dungeon. Man. Inside the genie's crystal. Such a desolate place. There's nothing here to see except its crystalline walls. Just thinking about this being Mughara's existence is enough to make me feel sad for her again. After a long climb that involved once again defeating the double mind-controlled and fused guardians to acquire a white crystal item, walking between the legs of a colossal sleeping cute anime girl, and brute forcing my way past all the keypad riddles because I absolutely cannot do riddles, you finally made it. After all the trials the girls went through in being literal toys for an adorable game genie, you managed to successfully guide Serena, Rosalind, and Meg with their body and soul intact to the end. You approach where you previously fought the Princess of Toys. Not a sign of activity from her. Good. Now is the girl's chance to finish this. My heart is pumping harder again. As in right now as I'm writing this. With my wits on high alert, we strike the finishing blow to the Dungeon Master. But she wakes up as we try to do so, Serena exclaiming, "Did we really arrive a second too late?" Mugi says nothing, her face stuck in a blank stare. Rosalind starts to guess. With such perfect timing, maybe the time limit was merely a plot device? Serena postulating that no matter what, the toy princess would awaken when they arrived. Frustrated, she shouts at Mega Moggy demanding, "Haven't we done enough? What else do we need to do to win your game?" Instead of answering, now looking determined, the dungeon mistress silently raises her hands. Serena becomes scared again. "Mughara?" Rosalind, trying her quick wits, asks, "Do we have to fight you one last time, maybe? That's what we have to do, right? Ah, maybe the Guardians will recover like last time and help us again, right?" Though there is no voice acting, I can still hear the pain in Mughara's voice as she finally says, "Forgive me." Mughara?" As we come to, we see we are still in the crystal. Mughara is no longer here, and Serena's clothes are back to normal. Serena's clothes are back to normal?! It is kind of hard for me to articulate. As someone who has gotten rid of his feelings when I was a teenager, and having played so many video games in my life that have sort of depleted my emotional feedback I can experience from engaging with media. Maybe you can still remember, like I can, how tons of things in games used to regularly scare us. An aggressive enemy chasing after you. Backgrounds with big smiley or angry faces. The dread of being about to enter a hard level. Most boss battles with beasts larger than you, always with their heart-pounding music, compelling us to ask someone older to beat them for us. In fact, my only remaining memory from when I played Descent as a little kid is that I was too afraid to play it, because the AI was so smart in that game that I knew if an enemy saw me, their human-like behavior would be too good and scary for me, and I would lose just like that. And when I played Ace Attorney for the first time, I was nervous before even entering the courtroom. My hands were shaking and chest pounding right along with Phoenix Wright in our first day in court together. Fear. Consequence. Meaning. This is what I long to experience again from the games I play. But I don't because I am too desensitized to the disassociation that what I'm seeing is not real. I know I'm not in any actual danger or place of consequence. Fortunately for us humans though, the power of our imagination is limitless. And with the immersion being strong enough, like how it was during the Maiden Astraea fight in Demon Souls, that feeling has found me once more. When Zelda Tears of the Kingdom's Demon King Ganondorf's health bar extended to fill up the screen, it was like a 3 out of 10 for being scary, if I was thinking of it from the perspective of a gamer fighting a hard boss. But the instant I saw Serena was wearing her normal clothes again, coupled with the sad piano music that will forever be etched into my soul, my heart sank, because I knew what it meant. It was a 10 out of 10 true emotional terror. Quila greets us, informing us that she and her friends were watching the whole time from inside the genie's crystal, the same one we're still currently trapped in, for it appears we too have lost. This understandably enrages Serena. This magic game was supposed to be fair, wasn't it? We go talk to the others. Meg is busy trying to find a way to reach the crystal's walls from our isolated platform. Rosalind, however, she is on her knees, heartbroken, questioning why, but unable to find an answer. She really believed Mughara was a good girl, so then why did she do this? Was it all just a lie? Did she merely play us for fools, calling us her friends just so she can use us as toys for her entertainment, fully intending to never let the girls have the chance to win? What of her Game Genie pride? Or her giving us the chance to walk away? Her remorse for her wrongful wish? Did it mean nothing to her after all? Well, I am here in advance to tell you what it meant to her. For during the epilogue, a melancholy Moggy confesses to the girls that no person can challenge a Game Genie more than once, meaning that from her perspective, losing the magic game would mean she will also permanently lose her new best friends she has ever had. This is why, for the first time in her very long life, she felt a desperate need to make sure she wins overtake her, because she knew of no other way to keep you from leaving her. And in a similar manner to how Monika's character is in Doki Doki Literature Club, the thought of losing the girls, and by extension you the player, was too much for Moggy to bear. She kept being surprised by your progress the whole way. She really never thought you would actually make it to the end, being fully confident she could defeat specks of dust like you. Thus, when she was awoken from the continuation of the game's script and she realized what was happening, that her players were about to win, she panicked. This entire time, she could have used her massive size to simply crush the girls like this to win the game, but the thought of doing something so underhanded never even crossed her mind due to her pride as a game genie and sensibilities as a good person. However, with those overridden by the fear of losing you forever, she betrayed herself, equally as much as she betrayed the girls, and cheated before the end moment, robbing their chance to finish the game, and with it, their souls. Although, it's not over quite yet, as a new event circle has appeared, containing our RPG items. Meg and Rosalind explain that they have already looked at the items, but they are useless now. Serena presumes they have to be here for a reason though, because she still believes the challenge cannot be made impossible for them to win. For if it was, then Magina would have been able to successfully cheat before when she took over as Game Master. And then we arrive at the moment. The scene shifts back to the classroom. An ecstatic Magina compliments the Game Genie on her amazing treachery, luring those poor mortals along with the promise of a fair game, only to brutally crush them in her bare hands at the very end. Mughara, however, once again dejected, isn't taking the compliment well. She rejects the idea that it was amazing, thinking instead it was... Is cheating the word you're looking for? Magi coyly insinuates. The Game Genie futilely tries to rationalize that she did not cheat, then pitifully asks Magi if she thinks the girls will forgive her. The mischievous genie mockingly affirms that she's sure in a few centuries they'll forget all about this. The ashamed genie accepts this as the best she can hope for, as there is no going back on what she did. She looks to her crystal with sadness as she moves to close the magic game. Returning back to our defeated heroines, we see them examining their items, while also seeing something new. A HUD display of Mughara with a counter next to it labeled Time Left 13. Oh no! My body was nervous, blood pumping, I was panicking, I had to figure out how to save the girls and I needed to do it fast, for with each action I took, the timer counts down, which was something I did not realize at the time. I got confused by the name of the countdown. It says time left, but it actually corresponds to the number of actions you have left. Because of this misunderstanding, I took a calculated risk in hedging my bets on trying the single choice options before trying the item selection one. This, along with the fixed camera position making it extremely difficult to see the statues clearly, led me to assume the boss statue order was randomized. Coupled with the timer counting down even when you make a correct selection, turned out to be my undoing. The countdown reached 0. The magic game was closed. The items disappeared, and with it, the last hope of escape for our heroines. I gamed over. I failed the girls, leaving them trapped forever. I was lost. If only I had been better. If only I were a bit less sleep-deprived, or a bit less stupid. I could have spared the girls this fate. I sat back in my chair, sad emotions impacting me. Not sure if I could proceed with the game in any direction. Now I was the dejected one, and this is primarily because of how I was playing CWCD through the lens of my relation to the game itself. Because, in all other video games, when you get a game over, you just restart or load your save and continue playing. Here, however, with Crystal Wish Classroom Dungeon, I, the player, accepted it as a piece of something with meaning, and voluntarily took up its offer of a game of consequence with fair rules that cannot be subverted, where the souls of these girls would be forfeit should I get a game over. I even took to the devs Discord to share my thoughts, because I was left in a position where I did not want to abandon the girls in a bad ending, but I also could not bring myself to simply load my save to try again just because I got a bad ending I did not want. For the fact that, if I decide I am justified in rendering the consequences of the bad ending null and void simply because I can, then I am stating through my actions that Mughara is equally justified in what she did to me and the girls to bring me to this point. And I can't be content with saying it's wrong when she does it, but it's right when I do it. Because the meaning is at the heart of the issue here for me. Where the vast majority of other size media lacks it, CWCD being crafted with care and meaning is what drew me into it the most. Thus, it would be a betrayal by me towards the game if I were to go,
Nah, I don't really feel like it.
To having this ending, so I'll just use my god powers to reset and try again, in a fashion that's striking almost on the level of Undertale and what it did to teach gamers about the ideas of the moral implications of taking such actions. For what kind of person would I be if I lambast other undeservedly acclaimed games like Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom for their lack of meaning, but now that the meaning of the material in CWCD resulted in something I don't like, I'm just going to toss it all out and keep resetting until I get the result I want so I can enjoy myself with it, which I can do because I deserve, and I deserve because I can do? It would make me a hypocrite. It would make me Flowey the Flower.
That's a wonderful idea.
It would make me canonically the same as Mughara. I told the Discord I feel like I should want to cry myself to sleep now. The next morning, I awoke from a night of many thoughts about CWCD. With my game still running, I sought an audience with XRY, and much discussion was had, so to keep things short, here is what he said.
As much as I admire your dedication in getting so involved into the story and wanting to play it by its own rules, or how much I appreciate the huge compliments to my work, Crystal Wish, Classroom Dungeon is just a small fun story and game meant to give as much fun and challenge as I could possible provide with my cute girls and game design choices. If you want to play it as the game wants to be played, there is nothing wrong in face a bad ending and then go back to create a different timeline for the characters and find out what's the best path for everyone. Though, I do believe every player should enjoy a game their way regardless of the creator's opinion, so the final call on how to deal with CD must be yours. But even taken as purely a serious JRPG, CD was meant to be a fun short silly experience. I appreciate a lot how much you enjoyed it, and all I'm saying is that in my opinion you don't need to take the premises and context so seriously to make you stop cause of a game over toward the end. If it helps, I can definitely agree Mughara is cheating at that point, so cheating back and reload is just fair payback.
And indeed, that did help a lot to hear from the game maker that he thinks what Mugi did was cheating. And after talking to myself for another hour, it was still painful and heart-shaking, but I finally decided I would face the bad ending and then load my save and get the true ending. I cannot recall another game that has compelled me to make these kinds of considerations before, nor one where despite following up with every correct answer, I'm still terrified of the timer counting down on me. Damn it, this game is so well made. Skipping ahead to the epilogue now, so there's at least something left unspoiled in this amazing passion project. Everyone is safe. Mughara repents, Serena T-poses asserts her dominance over an all-powerful magical being, leaving the little game genie flustered, forcing her to put in official writing to the genie bureaucrats that she will be fulfilling a wish of her own liberation from the oppressive GPPG, the Genie Person's Party's government, so the girls can drag this many centuries old genie around town by hand like she is a child. And they all lived happily ever after, the end. So there you have it. I hope you, dear viewer, now see the crazy emotional rollercoaster this hidden indie JRPG gem turned out to be for me and why I wanted to share my experience. And I hope this entices you to give Crystal Wish Classroom Dungeon a shot and XRY Echo some donations, or at least sharing it with others, as that's what XRY's games really need.